later on, but you was one of the first Hebrews that was talking archaeology. Okay, we're gonna talk some archaeology. We're gonna look at, we're gonna see that. Let me bring it this way, because
y'all helped me. Y'all helped us to raise our game. I'm not gonna lie. That's a fact.
Yeah,
that's a fact. Where we bump heads a bit, because I know we don't want to just agree, right? Where we bump heads a bit is how we classify what a civilization is, right? So, if you can,
let's see if we bump heads. I don't think we
if you can, I want to hear from you. What makes a civilization, right? How would you define civilization? And more importantly, Ankh, do you think that culture and civilization is the same thing? Do you think that one comes before the other?
I think culture makes up civilization. That's part of what makes a civilization is the culture. The culture is the people. You know, social cultural systems. Okay, if you look up the meaning of what religion is, it contains a lot of your funeral burial practices. So you had funeral burial practices before what Europeans would call a civilization, right? So that term is actually subjective. So that's why I say y'all arguing something subjective. So
Can I give you a little pushback on that?
That's fine. Give me a pushback.
Just a little bit. Let me give you a little pushback on that. The reason why I concede to the general idea of what the European community calls civilization is because civilization is not just culture. It's the most advanced stages of a culture, right? It's the advancements in culture. And it's several advancements in that culture that come together to give what's called civilization, right? We do know that Europeans do come together and invent terms and that suit and fit agendas. We understand that. Like the very word civilization comes from the Latin word civitas, which means city. But it's really talking about an advanced city, right? And a city that has an established rule of law where the people can govern themselves, a city that has walls where the people can protect themselves, a city that's self-sustainable, so they got some kind of agriculture, they got a way to feed themselves, they got irrigation, right? A city that has studied nature in a sense where they can see themselves in nature and nature in themselves. And that's where we begin to talk about a God concept. So when all those things come together in one particular society, that society is going to be called a civilization. Now, that doesn't mean that there weren't earlier cultures that had some of those components, because you certainly had much earlier cultures that had some of those components. But what makes a civilization is having all of those components at once. Now, some people don't hold to that standard, such as yourself, because you don't think we need to have all of those components to be a civilization. But that's what academia says a civilization is. It's all of these components coming together to be a civilization. What's your pushback on that?
I'm saying I like that, but let me come to this book right here, Africa.